Good morning. Today is our first day for our go-to meeting, Monday, July 3rd, 2017. And so I want to go ahead and get started with what things we're going to cover on today, being that it's our very first meeting. So I want to first begin by welcoming each of you to our class session. So this class is Health Information Management Systems. It's going to be a fully online class, and our go-to meetings are going to be on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. unless that changes, and if for any reason that time needs to be changed, I'll make sure that I notify the class that the time has changed. And of course, every week I will always record the go-to meetings and upload them to the portal. You can find them in the portal under the go-to meeting tab to the left-hand side of each week, and it's the same tab that also has the phone number and the access code that is used to dial in. When you click on that tab and scroll to the bottom, you're going to be able to see the meeting that was recorded for that particular day for the go-to meetings. So with our meetings being on Monday, I will do my best to make sure that after I record the video on Monday or the audio, that I go ahead and upload it. Therefore, in the event you are unable to attend a meeting, or if you need to go back and revisit some notes or revisit some things that were said during the meeting, you'll have that opportunity to be able to do so. So I want to tell you a little bit about what the class is and what you can expect for this month. So the class is actually like a twofold class. It's a refresher course over computer techniques and computer applications that you're already familiar with. And then the other part of that is that it exposes you to different pieces of technology in various departments, so that you can come a little bit more familiarized with what goes on as that department is providing services to the patient by way of technology. The textbook is Information Technology for Health Professions. It is the 4th edition. So if you don't already have that book downloaded on your bookshelf, make sure you get it downloaded on the bookshelf. If you want to purchase a hard copy of the textbook, the ISBN is located inside of the syllabus under the information for the textbook. When you're looking at the different chapters for the text, we only have 12 chapters in here. So we're going to do about 3 to 4 chapters a week. This week we're going to do you're going to be concentrating on the first 4 chapters, okay? So it's basically what I'm going to spend my time on, just kind of talking. I'm just going to kind of give you a little overview of what you can expect while you're reading those chapters. So in chapter 1, the title of it is Introduction to Information Technology, Hardware, Software, and Telecommunications. Basically, chapter 1 is just what it says. It's an actual introductory chapter, and it takes you into, or gives you a general overview of computers as it applies to hardware, computers as it applies to the different software. What are some of the input devices, output devices, and then with the software, it talks a little bit about different types of system softwares and application softwares. It also gives you information about the internet, World Wide Web, services that the internet offers, and so forth. So if you're already computer savvy, if you already currently use a computer daily on a job that you're working on, or if you've used computers in the past, this should be more like a refresher course for you. Chapter 2 is medical informatics. So chapter 2 talks more about, it gives you a little bit of background information about HITECH, which is Health Information Technology, the Health Information Technology Decade. It talks about HIPAA, talks a little bit about HIPAA, and then it goes on and gives you a refresher course in what do we mean when we say the patient information form. What do we mean when we say the paper medical record, the electronic medical record, the personal health record, the electronic, the personal health record, and then the electronic health record? You hear the electronic medical record, the electronic health record. It also talks about computer information systems overall in healthcare. It too is a refresher course for you, because a lot of those things, when it comes to the patient information form, electronic medical records, paper medical records, you've been exposed to that when you've had classes such as health information management, HCA 1700. So if you remember in that class, that was the class that pretty much talks about paper records, medical records as it applies to hospital patients, and physician office patients, like inpatients, outpatients. Because if you remember in that class in chapter 6, it took you through the entire parts of a patient's record, starting with like the encounter form, and then it takes you through clinical data, administrative data, and then you got your major and your minor procedures, and what forms or what documents are in those particular sections. So if you remember, that's what you did in that particular class, and chapter 2 in this book coincides with that, and it just kind of refreshes your memory. Chapter 3, an introduction to the administrative applications of computers, practice management, scheduling, and accounting. Now, this particular chapter should mimic a little bit, or should refresh your mind from when you've taken medical admin practices. If you remember medical admin practices, it is where you did live work. You went into a live medical record using a practice software. So when we say practice management, we're talking about different types of software that is used for electronic medical records. And so in that class, you use Metasoft. And Metasoft is a type of practice management software. It allows you, or gives you, the ability to go inside of a patient medical record and do things like scheduling the patients, posting charges, taking away charges, rescheduling a patient, taking a patient off the schedule, put in demographic information, adding insurance, taking away insurance, adding contact information, taking contact information away, what to do if you need to print a charge master for that month, or print a patient entry list that month. You did those kind of things in admin practices. And so chapter 3 just kind of goes behind the scene and let you know what happens behind the scenes as it applies to the technology piece for administrative applications. And so one thing that I want you to know is that no matter what job you go into, what facility you work for every facility that has electronic medical record recorded, or for every facility that deals with electronic medical record, always know that anytime you have the ability to control all of that via a computer, you're using some type of practice management software. That software may not be the same everywhere you go, but the concept will always be the same. So if I work for St. Vincent's and you're working for Brookwood, I'm scheduling patients in an outpatient clinic and you're scheduling patients in an outpatient clinic. We may not be scheduling using the same type of software, but we're both doing pretty much the same type of job. So although you may have different type of softwares that allow you to do different things. For example, when you are in your field working, and let's say for instance, you look at your nursing staff versus your billing staff. Nursing staff would tend to have software that billing staff wouldn't have access to. That's because the nursing staff needs to have the software that allows you to put in medications, check out medications, put in progress notes on patients, all of that. Whereas on the billing side, they just need the software that controls anything dealing with charges. So they may be on a totally different system. using a totally different type of software. But all of those things have the very same concept. They both provide information inside of a patient's chart, whether it's information on hand at that time about the patient, or something that was on the patient in the past. Like I said, they both carry the same concept. They just use different types of software and different pieces of technology in order to perform their job duties. Chapter 4 is a chapter that talks about telemedicine. So, you know, telemedicine is a way of doctors being able to interact with patients via satellite, Skype, or, you know, just across the internet, not necessarily physically in the same room with one another. And so you have different types of departments in telemedicine. You have your teleradiology, your telepathology, your teledermatology, telecardiology, and teleneurology. You also have your telepsychiatry. You have telewound care, telehome, telemedicine in prison, telenurse. And so it talks about all of those different types of various components as it applies to telemedicine. Just to give you a background as to what happens in those departments as it applies to information technology. So that's pretty much what you can expect for chapters 1 through 4 for this week. So what I did was, for today, one of the things that I want you to concentrate on is one of the activities that I gave you that is pretty much computer basics. So one of your activity that I gave you is a computer basics worksheet. There are several sections on there. I picked sections that will give you a refresher on different types of softwares and hardwares that's being used, just so you can kind of remind yourself, you know. So you have mainly like matching sections, or maybe like fill in the blanks, and like I said, it's just a real basic computer basic worksheet. You're more than welcome to use your book. And you're also more than welcome to Google online. I'm using dictionaries for a lot of your terms and your definitions with that particular activity. Also, what you're going to have to do today is your initial post for your threaded discussion. If you missed the initial post today, you can always post the very next day, which is day 2. So that brings me to my next point. As you know, tomorrow is the 4th of July. That is a school holiday, and so we won't have class that day. We won't be online that day, and there's not anything required for you to turn in to me. Our makeup day for Tuesday is going to be Friday of this week, okay? This is the only week this month that we're going to have a change in the schedule. Normally, you're online Monday through Thursday, which means that you have a daily assignment Monday through Thursday that opens up that you are required to complete on each particular day. But this week, our days are going to be today, of course, Monday, and then our day 2 will start on Wednesday, day 3 will be Thursday, and day 4 will be Friday. So Friday is our day that makes up for our Tuesday. So with that being said, if you miss your initial post for the threaded discussion today, you will have an opportunity to make a post for that discussion question on Wednesday. Now, you're going to be assessed a late penalty, and the most you lose for not posting a post on time is 3 points. So like I said, if you missed today's post, still go ahead on Wednesday and make a post so that you can try to get as many of your points as you can for your threaded discussion. And again, Friday will be your makeup day for Tuesday. So that means you will log in on Friday. You will have a daily assignment that is due on Friday that will need to be completed. Okay, attendance will be taken on Friday. So this week, once again, attendance will be taken on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then beginning next week, we'll resume back to our normal schedule, Monday through Thursday. So if you have any questions about that, or forget how the days are set up, just make sure that you reach out to me so that I can better assist you. As far as homework is concerned, actually your homework is set up like it is in all of my past classes. It's set up like an exam. You can go into it as often as you need to, as often as you want to. You will have access. You will by tonight at the latest or very early Tuesday morning. You will have access to all of the homework assignments. I'm actually going to try to get that completed tonight and get those opened up. So you're going to have access to all of your homework assignments for the month. There are 12 chapters, but there is an additional homework assignment that you're also going to do during week 4. Again, all of your homework assignments will be loaded up like an exam, and you have free course to go in and out. As long as you don't hit the submit button, you're good. You're going to have quizzes pretty much every week. You're going to have at least 2 a week. There are some quizzes that are probably going to be already open before others, and you're more than welcome to go ahead and to complete them. There are some that won't be. Some of them are classified as your daily assignment, and they won't open until that day. You're going to have a midterm and a final exam, of course. I will tell you for your final project. Well, before I talk about that, let me not get ahead of myself. Let me just say this. So in this class, this is not a hard class, not a difficult class, unless you just don't do the work or you just shy away from computers. One of the things that I have you doing up in here that is a big component of the course as far as coursework is completing or creating databases. Now, normally this class is taught as a blended course, which means that you come 2 days on ground, 2 days online. And in the past, what I've done is train the students on how to create databases using Microsoft Access. However, the dilemma is this. If you don't have the access to that particular software, you have to come to campus. Now, this time around, with it being a 100% online class, I am actually going to allow students to use Microsoft Excel to do their databases this month for the class. So again, the same concept. If you don't have access to Microsoft Excel away from campus, you're going to have to either go to campus to use a desktop computer or go to a library to use a desktop computer. Or you may use your laptop or desktop computer at home. Now, I know that Microsoft Excel is loaded on iPads. If you are comfortable with using Microsoft Excel on your iPad and you feel that you can maneuver and format and do all the things you need to do without any issues, yes, I encourage you to use your iPad. However, if you know that you may run into some issues at some point or you just don't feel comfortable using it on your iPad, please, by all means, make sure you go somewhere and get a desktop or a laptop so that you can get your assignments completed. When you create your databases, the absolute only way that you can submit those assignments to me is by using Microsoft Excel. You cannot use Microsoft Word and create me any tables. That is not going to work. You actually have to use Microsoft Excel. It gives the same feel of using Microsoft Access. It's just in a little bit of a different way. Because you're gonna be doing things like creating headings and just inputting a whole lot of information, and a lot of your information that you're inputting comes from patient information that I give you. And what I'll do every time you have to create a database, you're gonna have several sheets of paper that you're gonna have to print off and use for this particular activity. I will always tell you what headings to create, what information to input. I am very particular about the databases, meaning that there's certain ways I want birthdays, social security numbers, charges, and other type of certain transactions. Like when I say I want something in currency, and then I'll tell you I wanted 2 decimal points. All of those things, I'm very particular about that. Why am I particular about that? Well, if you had your head CEO person or your head supervisor or head manager wanted you to create a database, and they say, you know, they want it a certain way, they want it formatted a certain way because it's easier for them to read it, it makes sense for it to do, like, you have to get used to doing that. I also want you to know that when you're doing your databases, make sure you save everything on a flash drive, if at all possible, on your desktop. The reason I say that is because there are going to be times in which I may ask you to go back and revisit a previous database software, and I may have you to make changes, highlight those changes, and send it to me so I know that you made those changes. I may also have you to recall a particular database and add another sheet to it, rename the sheet, and then turn that into me. And when I say add another sheet, add another tab. And if you're familiar with Microsoft Excel, and I know that everyone should have already taken advanced spreadsheets, so you should have some familiarity. When you add tabs, like, and if you notice by Excel, you always have a sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Every time you create a new sheet, you create a new tab. And what tabs do, each tab may offer something different. So like, you may start out with tab 1, that's all of your basic patient information, whereas tab 2 may just only contain the patients, the same patients, first and last name, excuse me, but there may be some different information for that patient. The databases that I have you to create, sometimes I have you to create very extensive demographical databases, but then there are sometimes I may have you to create databases that pertain to radiology patients, or something that pertains to pharmacy, or something that pertains to surgery, or something that may even be pertaining to dentistry. So I may even have something that pertains to medical devices. But whatever the database is, and whatever it is I have you to create, I will always give you the actual instructions that go with it, so that you can have a full understanding of what it is you're supposed to do. You'll have all of the information you need to input into the Excel spreadsheet, but you got to remember, you cannot create tables in Microsoft Word. You must use Excel. As a matter of fact, when I open up your activity, it should open up in an Excel spreadsheet. If it opens up in anything else other than that, that assignment will be a 0. It will not get graded. It won't be counted. Okay? And you've got to keep that in mind, because I won't remind you and say, hey, do you know that you put this in Microsoft Word, or you wasn't supposed to? No, you must have it in Microsoft Excel, or the assignment will be a 0. So that's the majority of what you can expect in the class. Outside of that, I'm just going to basically have you do some things as it pertains to information technology. I know that one of your activities for this week will consist of you doing some research at Best Buy, meaning that I'm going to have you to research particular pieces of technology, and there's going to be information that you're going to provide to me. You're going to be able to you'll be able to have the ability or the option to use Microsoft Word and create a table for the information, or you can create a PowerPoint for the information that I am requesting. But that's going to be one of the things that you can expect this week. So mainly what we do this week is just kind of concentrate on getting you through the introductory piece of computers, so you can refresh your mind and then become familiar with some new things that you haven't already knew or did not already know about computers. The good part I can tell you is there is no research paper due in the class. Your final project for the class is going to be a full patient database. And when I say full, there are going to be very particular instructions that I'm going to give you. It will come with several tabs where you will be inputting a lot of information per tab. You're going to be given specific instructions on formatting. And I will tell you, before you send any Excel spreadsheet to me, whether it's just a normal activity or the final project, you're going to have to format all cells before you send it to me, meaning that if you know that you put in patient addresses, and you know how when you type in, if you don't widen the line, it kind of cuts it off. I'm sure all of that has to be formatted before you send it to me. So when I open up the Excel spreadsheet, if I'm looking for addresses, I ought to be able to see the full address. So if the address is like 1201 Hunter Street, apartment C. So when I open it up, if all I see is 1201 Hunter Street, and I don't see all of the apartment C, or don't see it at all, I'm just going to assume you didn't put it there. Even if I click in the cell and see at the top you did, but I don't see it in the cell, that lets me know you didn't widen it out. So if I widen out the cell and then I see it, I'm going to count off for it, because I've already asked you to format that. So just keep in mind, when it comes to doing these activities, I take it, I grade pretty hard. Let me just say that. So if a cell is not widened so I can see everything in that cell prior to me, in other words, I don't want to have to format the Excel spreadsheet at all. And if I have to format it, no matter what it is, every time I have to go in there and format, it counts against you for points. And your points can add up really fast. They really can. So like say for example, date of birth. I may give you 10 patients and give you information, put it on them. Let's say one of those pieces of information is the date of birth. And I may tell you, I want the date of birth, 2-digit month, 2-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and a 2-digit year. And I may want you to format it using slashes. Let's say out of those 10 patients, you only put 3 of them using slashes. The other 7, you put them using dashes, or let's say you did 7 of them using dashes. That's 7 points. Okay? Or let's say for an example, out of those 10, 5 of them had a 4-digit year. When I stated that I want you to do a 2-digit year, that's 5 points. So like I say, most of the databases will be worth like 50 points, most of them. So your points and your that's taken away can add up very quickly. So you can easily get a 10 out of 50 or 20 out of 50, and it's just based on your errors. So with that being said, you got to make sure you watch grammar, punctuality, any kind of misspelled words. You have to watch all of that. I should never see proper names all in lower case letters. If a person's name is Freestyle, if that's their name, their first name is Free, the last name is Style, I should see a capital F in Free, a capital S in Style. If I see a lowercase f in Free or lowercase s in Style, that's a point for me, because that's a pronoun. That should be capitalized, no questions about it. Okay, even a person's initial should have a capital letter. It should not be a lowercase letter. So it's those little bitty things. I know you may say, oh, that's just being very particular. Well, you know, going out here in the corporate world, you've got to learn how to be very particular. You got to learn how to be detail oriented. You're sending information that represents the company. Okay, when you're doing databases or any other type of information that you're sending electronically, or whether you're writing it or however you're doing it, you represent the company. And spelling and grammar is everything for a company. Because if I was a CEO and you working under me and you send me an Excel spreadsheet and I see all kind of grammatical errors and spelling errors and currency is not right, and you know, because I need to be able to know currency is currency. Just because you type some numbers in the section that says transaction or charges and I see a bunch of numbers, if you don't have it in currency, I mean, to me, what is that? You just gave a bunch of numbers? You know, are you saying that this is 1,500 or 150? I mean, what are you saying? I don't know, because you have no decimal points. You have no dollar sign. I just don't know. So that's why I'm very particular about how the databases need to be. So I know that's one of the things that you can expect in the class. That's like a majority of a lot of what you can expect in the class. Other than that, you're just going to have your threaded discussions, of course. You're going to have a couple of those a week. I've already talked about the quizzes. I'll upload audios for the PowerPoints. As you know, in the past, my PowerPoints are very, they're very brief. Okay, and with that being said, the PowerPoints are in doc sharing. All 12 of them. They're I have not opened them just quite yet. It's just a click of a button, but I will do that today. I will make sure that I get them open, but they're all ready. I just got to click the button that says open, and you'll be able to have access to all of them. You can print them or open them up, save them to your desktop flash drive, just however you want to do them. But you will have all 12. So you'll have that. Let's see. Talked about the quizzes. And your activities. And I believe that's sort of it as far as what you're going to be doing for the month. So I do hope that you enjoy the class. You know that you have access to me. You have all of my contact information. You will probably do better this month getting me on my cell. So it will be in your best interest to call or text me. You will get a much quicker response via text. I may not always be in a position to pick the phone up and talk, but I will always, if I can, and as soon as I can, text you back via phone. I believe that's going to be all for today's meeting. We'll meet again on next Monday at 4:30. And just remember, I'm going to take this meeting, I'm going to upload it under the tab for the GoToMeeting so that you have access to it. And if you need to go back and visit it, you can. Oh, and I want to make one mention about the PowerPoint lectures. So they will, as I do them, they will be uploaded to the student portal. So by Wednesday, I will do the audio for chapters 1 and 2. So you'll have that. And then you'll have another audio to listen to for chapters 3 and 4. Now, when you listen to the audios, they're strictly in relations to the PowerPoints. It does not take away the fact of you reading the chapters, because you still need to read the chapters and understand the concepts so that will better assist you when you're taking your quizzes, your midterm, and your final. This concludes our meeting for today. You all have a wonderful day. See you next Monday. Thank you.